We'll install n8n on Linux self-hosted using Docker. We're targeting n8n version 1.x, the current stable line per the official docs at docs.n8n.io. The steps work on Ubuntu 22.04, Ubuntu 24.04, and Debian 12, and they apply to any modern system-based distribution. This assumes you already have a Linux machine you can SSH into with sudo access. We're not covering domain setup or HTTPS here. That's separate. You'll need a few things before we start. Prerequisites. First, a Linux server or VM with at least 1 GB of RAM. The n8n docs recommend 2 GB for comfortable use. Second, Docker Engine version 20.10 or newer. Check it with Docker version. Third, Docker Compose v2. Check it with Docker Compose version. Note the space, not a hyphen. Fourth, port 5678 free on the host, since that's the default n8n port per the GitHub README. Verify it with sudo lsof I:5678 and confirm nothing is listening. Fifth, sudo access on the machine because we'll be writing to system directories. With those in place, here's step 1, ball. Step 1, install Docker if you don't already have it. We use the official convenience script from get.docker.com. Run this command exactly, curl fssl https get.docker.com oget-docker.sh. That downloads the installer to your current directory, then run sudo sh get-docker.sh. The script detects your distribution and installs Docker Engine, the CLI, and Compose v2. It takes 30 to 90 seconds depending on your connection. Success looks like this. The last line prints Docker version followed by the installed version, and systemctl status Docker shows active running. To run Docker without sudo, add your user to the Docker group with sudo usermod, ag docker $user, then log out and back in. Common gotcha. If you forget to log out after the usermod, every Docker command will say permission denied. Log out, log back in, and it's fixed. Step 2. Create the n8n data directory and the Docker Compose file. n8n needs a persistent volume, otherwise every workflow you build disappears when the container restarts. Make a folder for it, mkdir p n8n cd n8n. Then create a file named dockercompose.iml. Open it with nano dockercompose.iml and paste the following service definition. The image is n8neo and n8n latest, map host port 5678 to container port 5678. Mount a name volume called n8n data to home node.n8n. Inside the container, that's where n8n stores its SQLite database and credentials per the official docs. Set the environment variable, n8n host, to your server's IP or domain, and n8n port to 5678. Save with Ctrl-O, Enter, then Ctrl-X. YAML is indentation sensitive. Use 2 spaces, never tabs, or Docker Compose will refuse to start with a mapping values are not allowed error. Step 3. Start the container. From inside the Yamogi n8n directory, run Docker Compose up, D. The WAGI D flag means detached, so it runs in the background. Docker pulls the n8n image, that's roughly 500 megabytes, then creates the volume and starts the container. First time pull takes 20 to 60 seconds. Verify it's up with Docker Compose PS. You should see one service named n8n with status up, and the port mapping 0.0.0.05678, 5678 TCP. To watch the logs, run Docker Compose logs fn8n. You'll see a line that reads, editor is now accessible via HTTP localhost 5678. Press Ctrl-C to exit the log view. The container keeps running. If the container exits immediately, it's almost always a permission problem on the volume. Run Docker Compose logs n8n and look for exes. Fix it with sudo chown r1000 chain n8n. Open a browser and go to http jot, your server IP 5678. If you're on the same machine, use http satdog localhost 5678. You should see the n8n setup screen asking you to create an owner account, email, first name, last name, password. Fill it in, click Next, and you land on the Empty Workflows dashboard. To verify the API is responding from the command line, run curl ihttp localhost 5 seat 78. You should get back HTTP 1.1 OK with a content type of text HTML. If you saw the setup screen in the browser or the 200 response from curl, you're set. n8n is installed, persistent, and listening on port 5678. Common errors. First, port 5678 already in use. Something else is bound to that port. Either stop that process or change the host port in your Docker Compose .yml from 5678 to 5678 to something like 8080 to 5678, then run Docker Compose up D again. Second, permission denied on the volume directory. The n8n container runs as user ID 1000. Fix it with sudo chown r1000:1000 and restart the container with Docker Compose restart. Third, you can reach n8n on localhost but not from another machine. That's a firewall. On Ubuntu, allow the port with sudo ufw allow 5678/TCP. For production use, put n8n behind a reverse proxy with HTTPS. That's covered in the next tutorial. Full documentation lives at docs.n8n.io.